Finding problems? That's easy. They exist in every community. I'm Terry Springs, your host. We're looking deeper, and we are talking solutions, finding out how we all can make a difference. Starting off today's show with something that's coming up next weekend here in town called Health, Healing, and Happiness. Ina Mohan's in studio to fill us in.
That's great.
The creator, producer, and organizer. That's a lot of titles, but it sounds like a big weekend event called Health, Healing, and Happiness, coming to the Tuscany Suites and Casino. And it's the weekend of June 12th through the 14th, so it starts next Friday. Ina, this is your baby.
Yeah.
I want to tell all the details about Health, Healing, and Happiness. But could we start by filling people in? What was your path that got you to the point where you put together a big weekend event like this? And I understand it's the fourth year.
It is the fourth year and has been growing by heaps and bounds, and I'm really, really excited. We've been able to go from 150 attendees in the first year, 2012, to expecting almost 1,000 this year in its fourth year. So the response is enormous. And another thing I'm seeing, Terry, is it's no longer just a local event. We have people coming from all over the country. I have people signing up from Canada to fly over here just for this event. So this is how good its reputation has become. And of course, it makes me super, super happy.
Yeah, it sounds like a great event. We will fill you in. Now, what path did you personally take, Ina, to get to this point? I was reading on the website, you were trained as a chef.
Oh, yeah. I had a couple of different careers. It started in Germany where I grew up, and I was a certified chef. I can run a restaurant and a hotel, so I learned all that. And it was very joyful because it's very creative. But you know, as a chef, you never make the connection between food and health and how important that is. So as a chef, you want to make things feel good, taste good, and of course, a lot of fat and cream goes into the meals. And since I never had health problems or weight problems myself, I just never made the connection. So life went on, and I came to the U.S. in 1998 because I moved on to hotel software, which is related from operations into software. And that also brought me to Las Vegas to open the Wynn Hotel, being completely in charge for their front desk software rollout. So wonderful, very responsible job, but also very involved. And just when I started in Las Vegas, that was in 2004, my parents back in Germany became very sick. My mom became diagnosed with breast cancer. And I had to fly back and forth every couple of weeks. And when you have such a time lapse between seeing your parents, and it was a very fast progressing disease because she already had metastasis, she just wasted away in front of me, and it was just really devastating to watch. And then my dad was diagnosed with colon cancer. And so these two basically took turns in the hospital. And since I'm the only child, I was traveling back and forth and was just so disillusioned to see what medical profession was able to do for my parents. You know, like here in the United States, the officially approved therapies are chemo, radiation, and operation. And my mom went through a couple of them. It surely helped her sustain herself for a while. But really, Terry, seeing my parents suffer through that, and my dad luckily survived, my mom did not. But seeing my parents suffer became a catalyst for me to really search and find out what else is out there that we can do to prevent going down a path of cancer or heart disease or diabetes, even if it may be in our genes, to prevent. And if you already have a diagnosis, what can we do to potentially reverse? And of course, once you start searching, you come upon the food. You find out so much about nutrition can heal the body from the inside out. Even if it is already contaminated with something, you can reverse it. And it was so fascinating. And so once you open the floodgate on that research, there's no stopping. And I became just very, very passionate about it. Changed my own diet, believing in prevention as being the best healthcare. So I became completely whole foods, plant-based. It's a personal choice. It's very good for me, for my own health. And became passionate about sharing with as many people as I can reach to see that they will not have to walk the same journey and lose someone or get a diagnosis without even knowing what the possibilities are.
I so relate to this. Ina Mohan is with us, and it's got to do with an event that's coming up next weekend at the Tuscany Suites and Casino called Health, Healing, and Happiness. Telling her own journey, a double whammy with your parents both dealing with cancer issues very closely together in Germany. Glad to hear your father survived, and sorry about the news about your mom.
Yeah.
And what you found about food is something that I relate to so closely because I believe that food is medicine.
Yes.
And I think that people who don't realize that yet just haven't woken up to what the truth really is.
Yeah.
You know,
that's right.
And I can't make anyone else follow my own dietary path, but I can try and shine a light. I can try and share the knowledge and let them make their own decision.
You can walk the talk, you know, and people watch you. People watch me all the time. What do I eat? What do I drink? And it became so much of a mission for me, Terry, that in 2009, I decided to give up my really well-paid corporate job, and I had to do something on my own. And that morphed into being my own health and wellness business. It morphed into an event. And I don't do things half halfway. If I put myself into something, it's going to be 100%, and it's big. And this is what health, healing, and happiness is becoming.
I know you've got Dr. Joel Fuhrman lined up as one of the speakers. I love him. I've seen him on PBS. He does those specials. And you've got some really interesting people who will be speaking and making presentations during the weekend. What all is involved when somebody comes to the event? Do they buy a ticket for the 3 days or a one-day ticket? How does it work?
Yeah, it's really the 2.5-day event, if you will. It starts on Friday, June 12th, with a welcome reception in the evening. So that's just social, meet the speakers, meet the attendants, socialize, and the last-minute chance to get tickets before price goes up at the door. And then we dive right into Saturday, June 13th, with a yoga class at 8 o'clock, and then going into speaker sessions all day from 9 to roughly 6:30. And then the same again Sunday morning. There's a wonderful fitness class, which is a boot camp that's like the one taught to Ellen DeGeneres. Then afterwards, speakers start again at 9 o'clock all the way to 6 p.m.
I'm thinking that someone who might have a health issue and is looking for things that they can do on their own to try to maximize their health and wellness, what a great place to start.
Yeah.
Come and learn some information. I'm sure you'll have vendors on site.
I do. Yeah.
And being that you were trained as a chef, probably there will be food involved here somehow.
Yeah, let me tell you what's all involved, because this is amazing. You have those speaker sessions. They will talk not just about nutrition, but also fitness, spirituality, and personal development. I'm a big believer, and we know now that the physical part of health, being food and exercise, is only one part of the equation. Your emotional well-being, your thinking, your behavior, what's deep-rooted, the whole emotional balancing is also very big. And so I'm always bringing in speakers addressing that portion. Then we have the chefs. So here you learn from the wonderful doctors who are using nutritional science to heal their patients. So they're no longer at the operating table, they're leading you to the dining table instead. So you hear from these amazing doctors who are pioneers in their field. Then you watch the chefs, taste their food, which is completely wonderful, healthful, and delicious at the same time, because I insist that health is tasty. Otherwise, you will not get anybody to embrace it. Then we have the classes, yoga classes, fitness classes, and there will be a huge vendor marketplace with holistic vendors offering health checks, Reiki sessions, mini massage, all kinds of samplings going on. They do their own bunch of presentations. We have raffles, giveaways, interviews, photos. There's a lot of fun things to do that weekend.
Sounds interesting. We're talking with Ina Mohan, the creator, producer, and organizer. You're like a one-woman show. It's a weekend event starting next Friday evening and going through the weekend at the Tuscany Hotel Suites and Casino, and it's called Health, Healing, and Happiness. Every week on this show on Talking Solutions, we try to shine a light on different areas. And in the past weeks, we have talked about health issues, mental health issues. We've talked about movement and exercise and the positive effects that it can have on many different health conditions. And it looks like you're bringing this all together and saying all the pieces of this puzzle need to fit together to make you at your best.
Yeah, and I think that's also the reason that this event has grown so fast, because people come and choose. So some are more attracted to, okay, I want to see the chefs, I want to learn what they're doing. We bring in these amazing speakers from all across the nation, plus, of course, a couple of celebrity speakers from Las Vegas itself. And then no one needs to walk out without the resources that they can use, either online or right here in Las Vegas, to continue on their path. There's a lot of options. It's like a smorgasbord of possibilities. You'll go and say, wow, I had no idea how many holistic cancer remedies there are, because our opening speaker is a 16-year cancer victor of breast and cervical cancer using raw food nutrition and emotional healing. And she has an amazing path, and she has stage 4 people come to her institute all the time. And I'm just saying, it gives me the shivers just thinking of Brenda Cobb, our opening keynote on Saturday morning. So people will really learn the opportunities and then find afterwards a path that works best for their lifestyle. But I like to not just have someone be in seminar soup and walk out and then forget everything. So we're very eager to also provide resources, tools, materials, takeaways, and a lot of things that you can do as follow-ups right after the conference. So you can find your own way to healthier living inside out.
Pick and choose what works for you. Online, I noticed that you've got a really nice website with lots of information. What is the website address?
The website is health-healing-happiness.com.
Health-healing-happiness.com.
Right. I know it's a mouthful.
And we will make sure that we'll have those links also on the Talking Solutions Facebook page. Ina Mohan is with us, and it is Health, Healing, and Happiness. It's this whole big 2.5-day event coming to the Tuscany over there on Flamingo. You know where it is? East of Koval.
Yes, it's after the Bali and the Platinum, about 2 blocks away from the Strip. And the Tuscany, and this is the most amazing thing, Terry, they're doing a plant-based lunch buffet for us both days, and they've never done a vegan lunch buffet before before. And we're using, of course, the Tuscany's wonderful recipes and mine in combination to serve the best healthy lunches that probably this casino has seen.
That sounds really good. I do follow a plant-based lifestyle, and so to find a buffet that's set up for us.
Exactly. I know. And plus the lunch tickets are so hot sellers. I would probably want to mention that they're selling out really, really fast. So there's only a few left at this point.
Step up and get some for the Health, Healing, and Happiness event starting Friday evening going through the weekend at the Tuscany Suites. Ina Mohan is with us. Wow. So you've gone through your whole change of lifestyle just through circumstances in front of you, having the chef's training in your background, and then having your parents both deal with cancer-type issues.
Oh, and more in the family before that, yeah.
So you know that genetically there's a good chance that you're predisposed toward having to deal with cancer.
Which is what the doctors always told me. So they said I will have to do a mammography every half a year. And I did that for a while. And then when I learned more, for example, from Dr. John McDougall, who is one of these pioneers in nutritionist science, now using food programs to heal patients from heart disease and diabetes, etc. And he will join us on a Skype interview. He has taught us that mammograms are really not the way to go because the cancer would have grown already 10 years in your body or so before you even see it on the mammo. So there's much better options. And I have some vendors at the marketplace who can talk about that and show us what the alternatives are. I think prevention is really key, Terry. You start with the healthcare, which is you look what you're putting inside your temple. You know, we take better care of our car than our body sometimes. And it is atrocious. But it's just the cultural, because food is so much our culture, our upbringing. Food is really more emotional than nutrition for most humans. And we have to make sure that we find a balance so that we are aware that we put the best possible fuel in it. Dr. Furman, who speaks on Saturday afternoon, will have a wonderful talk about being healthy to 100, about anti-cancer and longevity science. That is an amazing talk. So I would encourage everybody to be there and catch that one.
I believe that in the U.S., we have got such an emphasis on quick solutions, things like fast food. Do you notice people are waking up saying we really need to take a serious look at what we're putting into our bodies? Because like I said before, I believe food is medicine. And I'm noticing in grocery stores, on restaurant menus, people's attitudes are such that they're going, wait a minute, maybe I don't need that bacon cheeseburger. Maybe there's a different way to go here. I think people are waking up to the reality that we need to do something about the way we eat in this country.
Yeah, it is very fascinating to see how this country is fast. It's a pace setter for this movement. But also even going back to my home country, Germany, where for years when traveling home to visit my dad, I had to compromise. I'm completely whole foods vegan, so I don't really touch animal products at all. But in Germany, I had to compromise because there was nothing to be had without cheese and butter. And knowing how dairy is implicated with the hormone receptive cancers, such as breast cancer specifically, I really like to steer away from it. But now in the last 2 years going to Germany, I see vegan things everywhere. The restaurants know what it is. They can change and modify their dishes even if they don't offer it on the menu. And people who come to my event are not necessarily already plant-based, but they know that it is the way to go. So I really like to make it comfortable. I don't want to clubber anybody over the head and say you have to adopt that lifestyle, because who am I to preach, you know? Terry, it took me over 30 years to get the light bulbs up, and unfortunately for me it took a tragedy and a loss to finally make the connection. My passion and my hope is that I can reach many out there who just want to learn, who know that it is better to eat a certain way, show them how delicious it is, show them it's not deprivation, they don't have to sacrifice taste and fun and emotional connection with food by doing it a healthier way.
You are so right. In my household, I came to the nutrition decision that I wanted to be more plant-based and brought my husband along. I've always tried to check with him and say, are you okay with this? Do you feel deprived? And he doesn't. And we try new things all the time. When I first went to a plant-based type lifestyle, I was scared, concerned that maybe I wouldn't have a lot of choices, when in reality it was just the opposite. Seriously, I used to think I had my meat element on the plate. What are my sides going to be? And suddenly when I removed the meat element, the opposite of restricting me, it was like I was free. I had more options than I ever had before because I was no longer looking for something that would be compatible with the meat item on the plate as far as what I could create.
Yeah, there's so many thousands of beautiful fruits and vegetables. You can discover lots of things. Some of the raw gourmet chefs that we're going to have at this event are whipping up some culinary arts creations, something that we never had before. for as well. Chef Kitty and Chef Be Live was coming to us from LA. And then, of course, we have our very own Shane Stewart and then the ex-Win vegan chef, Stacey Dugan. They are going to put some things together that I can promise you will make your mouth water.
Ooh, it sounds good. It's the Health, Healing, and Happiness big weekend event starting Friday evening, June 12th, going through Sunday the 14th over at the Tuscany Suites on Flamingo. You mentioned the Win and the vegan chef. And I remember it was, gosh, time passes so fast. I'm sure it was at least a couple of years ago when Steve Wynn himself had discovered all of the wonderful things about a vegan lifestyle.
Benefits, exactly.
And he had laid down that all of the restaurants at the Wynn and Encore needed to have options for vegans.
Yes, and they do, and they're delicious.
Yes, I know. I have them often.
Yeah.
And they also made sure that in the employee dining areas, they also had vegan options. And there was, and I'm trying to remember the name of the CD.
It's called Eating.
Thank you. But Steve Wynn had like 10,000 copies.
Yes.
Of this DVD about eating and had it distributed, from what I understand, to all of his employees so
and
that
I
they
think
would
the
have
ones
that.
in Macau as well, where I also was involved in the opening originally, and that's good. I don't know if they have the vegan options at Wynn in Macau, but that was phenomenal. I heard the same thing.
During one of our big culinary weekends that we have here in town with all the chefs, there was an event called Viva Las Vegan. I could not wait to go. And Steve Wynn had hosted it.
Yes.
And stepped up on stage and was giving.
Remember.
Were you there? I was there.
I was out of town, but I heard everything about that event.
I loved it. He gave his own understanding and how he came to appreciate the vegan lifestyle and what a difference it makes in your life. So he was up on this little stage in this group of people and told his story. And then after the fact, I saw in the local press that some people had accused him of preaching the vegan lifestyle and kind of slammed him about his presentation. That's the only time I ever wrote a note to Steve Wynn. I have no reason to do that. But I wrote him a note because I felt it so deeply. And I said, don't ever apologize for telling the truth.
No. It is something which does happen to guilt others into adopting the lifestyle. There's an ethical aspect about being completely plant-based or vegan as well. And people do conceive it as a difference between having a vegan diet and living a vegan lifestyle, which means not utilizing any animal products anywhere either. I personally live a vegan lifestyle, but as I mentioned, Terry, it was a journey and a path of discovery. And I believe everybody, in order to really do change gravely, adopt a big change in their life and environment, you have to have a very strong purpose. And I cannot judge anybody else out there whether they already found the purpose that will drive them with a passion towards adopting the same lifestyle that I have. I would wish for people to do it, but it is their own personal path. And because it took me so long to discover, first it started with a diet, and I thought, yes, cancer. Dairy products, no. Too dense, too much fat, too many hormones. Try without it. Find the vegan cheeses, see how they work. And nowadays I don't even crave any cheese anymore because our diet became so green. And that again is an evolution. When you are at the point, you cannot perceive that you're going to be 180 degrees somewhere else in just a couple weeks or month. It is a journey and it needs to be comfortable. But if you don't have a strong why and purpose to change, you're not going to change. And my why is not the same as yours. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
I can't really judge anybody. But we tend to be very passionate because we know about the amazing health benefits when you adopt whole foods plans, how you can open up arteries, how you can rid yourself of diabetes within weeks, Terry, within weeks. And of course, when you look at the suffering, which is a very good side effect, if nothing else, and the vegans will say, obviously, that's a huge understatement. It's also peace of mind and consciousness, well, of not causing suffering with any species. But I like to invite people to try, feel comfortable with what they hear, what they taste, what they see, and that opens their heart to trying more and more of it. And the journey towards it will begin in that way.
I find when you learn about things, you're exactly right. We're talking with Ina Mohan, and she is the creator, producer, and organizer, and chief bottle washer and all of that for the Health, Healing, and Happiness event that starts Friday the 12th and goes through the 14th over at the Tuscany, right there on Flamingo. You're right. A lot of times it has to be a health-based reason. You get some kind of disturbing medical news about yourself or someone you care about, and you go, well, I got to think about changing this lifestyle. I have not really found find anyone without a compelling medical reason who makes the change overnight. With us, it was much more gradual. You start reducing the sugars in your diet and you start eliminating some other things that you don't need. So it's more of a smooth, easy process. Then suddenly you get there and you realize that in our case, we're primarily plant-based at my house, that it was a very comfortable journey to get there.
And I'm not saying it's not possible, particularly when you come from an ethical perspective, because once you realize how much suffering goes into what goes into our meals, it can change you overnight. Such as my husband, and we were actually both vegetarian at first and very comfortable thinking, cheese doesn't kill any creature, but of course I was completely wrong. I just didn't understand it. And we walked into a conference that showed us a little bit more about meat production, and my husband walked out a vegan. And I adopted a completely plant-based lifestyle when I created my own company in 2009. Never felt better, never had more energy. But it's also the emotional part, knowing that you are causing little harm for yourself and everybody else. And that we are always tending to underestimate the emotional part of health. And that's why I like to call my event Health, Healing, and Happiness, because there's just more than just the food alone about it.
The website where you can find out all about it is health-healing-happiness.com. Starting Friday night the 12th through Sunday the 14th at the Tuscany Suites. The actual name of the event, you'll see it on the website, Health, Healing, and Happiness. All kinds of great things going on. So if you're curious, this would be something we're thinking about doing.
Absolutely. 18 presenters, international superstars. You mentioned Dr. Joel Fuhrman, who's
I
probably
like
one
him.
of the most known names. He had at least 3 PBS specials. The latest one he's doing is The End of Dieting Forever. And he will be there, of course, to give interviews and to do book signings, etc. He's on the Dr. Oz show all the time and a couple hundred other shows. But I also like to highlight John Pierre. John Pierre is a fitness trainer, and he does the boot camp with Ellen DeGeneres and her whole crew. And he trains people like Pamela Anderson and a bunch of actresses. So he's going to run our fitness class Sunday morning with a functional fitness combination that is really, really fun. He's going to bring a lot of equipment. And that's how we learn how the brain, cognitive health depends on movement, which is so hugely important when you hear the talking about Alzheimer and dementia and Parkinson's, etc., and all the brain-related diseases. So he will have a lecture and a fitness class for us.
I just did an interview on Parkinson's.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I do know the movement and the blood flow to the brain and all the good effects. There are just little pieces that all form this one cohesive unit that is you when you're at your best. And so we want your health to be good. We want your diet to be what you would want it to be. We want you to move. Check into all those things coming up this next weekend at the Tuscany Suites. It's health, healing, and happiness. Is there anything I've forgotten?
We also should talk about the fun. One of my speakers who I've invited the second year in a row is Chef AJ. We met on a fabulous cruise called the Holistic Holiday at Sea, which is a beautiful full immersion vacation where you learn a lot. And Chef AJ looked at the flyer of last year's event and said, I would love to do something in Las Vegas. So I invited her as a keynote speaker last year, and she was one of the most popular ones. So we have her back. Chef AJ is an ex-comedian, and she is a health coach. She is basically a nutritionist. She knows everything about how food moves through your body and how you can really manage your weight naturally. So it goes into, you never again want to talk about dieting and weight problems. Chef AJ is the gal, and you never know what she's going to come up with on stage. She might start singing or doing some yoga practices or a handstand. She is a rocket and very, very entertaining, and that's why we love to have her.
Sounds like a good time. And you mentioned that the Tuscany Suites are also putting together a buffet that will fit for everybody as far as plant-based and vegan diets. And
one is a tropical buffet with the Caribbean food options with a lot of tropical, and the other one is a Mexican buffet. So it's a feast both days. It's the best ticket deal that I ever had for this event, because we really want to make it accessible to as many people as possible so we can spread important information.
We're seeing it everywhere. People really are changing the way that they think, especially about their food and affecting their health. You're seeing it in the grocery stores. So many more organics to choose from, a lot more things that we didn't eat a lot in this country, like lentils. Grocery stores are now bursting with all of these healthy options. You're seeing it on restaurant menus. It used to be very, very rare to even find anything vegetarian-oriented. Now they've gone far beyond. I think that it's reflecting naturally the changes people are going through as far as their health and wellness and their nutritional habits here in the U.S. I find it really exciting, and this is a great place to get started if you're concerned about health, healing, and happiness. That's the name of it. That's what it's all about, and it's at the Tuscany, and if you'd like to check into it, get tickets, get info, get whatever you need, go to health-healing-happiness.com. ina Mohan, creator, producer, organizer. How long does it take you to set up something like this?
Oh,
all year?
Not quite. Half a year, definitely. I need to secure my speakers pretty much between 6 and 12 months in advance because they're very high in demand. And then the organization takes half a year. Luckily, I have a little bit of a good track record doing the hotel implementations and hotel openings.
Right.
So it's like a big hotel opening. In a way, everything comes together. And Terry, it may sound strange, but I thrive on things like this.
It's adrenaline. It would be rather high at this point in time because you're so close to the event.
We are very close, yes.
It's all coming together, going off in just a few days over at the Tuscany. It's health, healing, and happiness. And through all of this stuff you've got going on, you still had time to come in and talk to us. So thank you so much for joining us today on Talking Solutions.
Thank you.